Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Come on in, make yourself comfortable. Get comfortable. We have an interesting show tonight. Interesting show tonight. Fantastic. Welcome back. Welcome back to a transformative conversation. I am your host, Samuel L. Crumpy Jr., aka Samion to some. I am a transformational leader with One Transformation Center. Again, that is One Incredible Experience Transformation Center. I'm grateful to have you. Thankful for your time, for the investment of your time, your attention. You have no idea how much it means to me. Go ahead, like wherever you're broadcasting from, wherever you're tuning in from, go ahead and like the stream, please. You can also share it for others as well, because this stream is focusing on forgiveness. Forgiveness. And many of us need some serious forgiveness of ourselves, for others, because it's been a stranglehold. So we're going to talk about that too. So we're subscribed. Well, we are broadcasting on Facebook, on my personal Facebook page, Samuel Crumpy Jr., as well as the One Transformation Center Facebook page and the Transform Your Life group page. So if you're not a member of any of those, please go ahead and become a member. Stay connected to us, see what we have going on, be in the know, because we're here to celebrate humanity. We're here to inspire, motivate, and heal lives and relationships all across the globe. We're here for you. We're here for you, okay? And I appreciate the opportunity. For those who don't know or who haven't had the opportunity to check in with us on weekday mornings, daily at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for our morning manifestation series, you've been missing out. It's only about 30 minutes long, but man, have you been missing out. The change, the transitions, the transformations, the breakthroughs that have been happening have beyond anything that I could have imagined at this time. I knew that the big scheme, the big plan was, but right now, what we've been experiencing, I mean, if you didn't listen to this morning, you can go to One Transformation Center Facebook page, and you can check it out. It was so powerful, I was in tears. It was so powerful, I was in tears. So come on, check it in. This is a little different. This is a little different because this is conversation. We're having a conversation, interaction, back and forth. I'm going to drop the link down in a little bit for you to come on if you want to contribute to the conversation. You know, in my past life, my previous life, I was also a life and relationship coach and help people to move and break through, shift beyond where they currently are right now. And so somebody made a suggestion to me to move it into a bigger platform to be able to support more people. And it is my pleasure to be of service. All right. Again, if you're not subscribed to the Facebook page, the Instagram page, the Facebook, Instagram, and the YouTube page, go to Samuel Crumpy Jr. Samuel Crumpy Jr. You can check those out. You see it scrolling on the bottom of your screen as well. Also, for the Transformation Center, One Transformation Center, we have those pages live as well. So go check those out if you're not already connected. All right? Fantastic. Well, good people. Good people. Let's have a conversation. It's about that time. It's time to discuss forgiveness. Throughout society, we have been strapped and tethered by guilt, fueled by hate, and riddled with pain. And it's time for us to take back control. It's time for us to shift from victim consciousness to victory. Again, I'll say that. It's time for us to shift from victim consciousness to victory. So let's have a transformational exchange. And this stream currently is sponsored by One Incredible Experience Transformation Center. We'll be right back with you after this brief moment, setting the tone of what forgiveness is, what forgiveness is about, brought to us by my good brother, Charles Holt. Being happy doesn't mean that everything is perfect. It doesn't. And forgiveness, we started this out this morning. Hey, Cassandra, welcome. Winder, Georgia. You can't hear anything? You can't. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Anyone else? Can you hear me? Interesting. Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. I thought we were having problems with the stream. Like, wait a minute. I fixed this. I'm those blessings. Give thanks. See that you come on. Fantastic. And again, I'm going to drop the stream as well. Open it up so that you can come in and uh, contribute to this conversation because this is indeed a conversation. Here's the stream, right? And again, you do not have to be on video. You do not have to be on video. It can simply be audio. Instead of having a phone for you to call into, we just have it set up through the stream, which is a lot easier. Let's drop calls and pull you in and out very quickly. All right. All right. Fantastic. Now, forgiveness. There's many different occasions where forgiveness is required. And like I stated earlier, many of us are holding on to some guilt. Many of us are holding on to some hate, some dis-ease. Many of us hope we're riddled with pain, whether it's because of a breakup in a relationship. Maybe you didn't get what you were supposed to, what you thought you earned or you were deserving of. Maybe there's some mishaps that have happened. Some people transition out of your life that you felt like they were going to be there forever, and yet they're no longer physically available. Uh, this morning we were talking, and I stated many of us get very upset and mad with the Creator when our loved ones leave out unexpectedly. We ask the question, why them? Why not somebody else who's more deserving? I'm not sure we really are in a position to ask that question or recommend someone else that we feel like is more deserving. And it's okay for us to have that feeling of anger. It's okay. It's part of grief. It's absolutely part of grief. Hey, Linda, welcome to the stream from Marietta, Georgia. It's okay. Many of us have had some letdowns and some setbacks, some serious disappointments that it's been difficult to get over. We think we've gotten over a little bit. I went through a divorce. And as positive and as much as I do my internal work before I transitioned from that relationship, even to now, if I'm honest with myself, and I had to be this morning, we were doing the forgiveness exercise, we were doing the meditation. When I'm honest with myself, I realized that there isn't a full forgiveness there. Why? What do you mean by that? There is something there that still triggers me. Even though I don't want it to, something still triggers me. And so I have to go in and do an assessment and say, well, perhaps I haven't fully forgiven. And I'm very positive. I mean, significantly positive. I have a mindset that everything happens for my absolute best and highest good. The journey has ended. There's no need for us to continue. We've met our crossroads. It's time for us to part ways. It's good for you. It's good for me. I'm that person. I'm that person. However, it didn't come out to be that way. No matter how much, there was still a little bit of that in there. I had a guest who's coming on. She may still come on, but she was going to come on and make a contribution. She's a therapist. And she says to me, Samuel, I'm going to try to tune in, but I'm not feeling well right now. I'm not feeling my best right now. And I appreciate her for honoring, for really acknowledging that. Someone attempted to rob her, to break into her house, to invade her space, to minimize her safety. And so I can understand that. But in real time, guess what? It's a wonderful opportunity to practice forgiveness. Why? Because they don't need your forgiveness. Let's be honest. It reminds me, I was watching the news today, and I don't really watch the news much. I was on YouTube scrolling, and it was talking about that situation happened up in Detroit. No, I stand corrected. Buffalo. A couple of months back, where the gentleman drove hundreds of miles to come up there to a supermarket and shot everybody and was killing people randomly. It was even discussed that he doesn't know any, and the majority of his, if not all of his victims were African American. He's Caucasian. It was mentioned that he doesn't even know one African American person, a person of African descent, or even of Hispanic descent or Latino descent. Like he doesn't know anyone outside of his own ethnicity. And he took it upon himself to attempt to eliminate or to drastically harm, to do harm to a group of people who would have never thought about doing him any harm. As a matter of fact, many of them would have given to him without him even asking. And so I watched in that courtroom. And as he was found guilty and they were able to provide their victim statements. And I watched the anger and the hurt that was coming out of their mouths. If they could kill him with their words, they would have done so. One lady went so far as said, I wish that I could put my hands around your neck and leave my fingerprints. Another gentleman pushed her out the way and lunged for him so he can take out his vengeance upon him. Now, I know there's some people in the house who are true believers, who believers of Christianity, believers of God, and the scriptures say that vengeance is not mine, says the Lord, but is of the Father. Sometimes in those moments, you don't feel like God is working and fast enough. You don't feel like you want them to feel the fury, the hate, the dis-ease, the pain, the torment, the loss, the vacancy, the void that you're feeling in that very moment. I know there's some people in this room that in the stream who understand what I mean. And it's just not even from the space of someone being whose life is being taken from them so drastically, but even from a relationship. How many relationships have we been in that ended? We thought were going to be forever and they were temporary. And then everything we felt for that individual, everything we loved about that individual faded. And it faded to a space of hate and despise. Put a one in the room. Go ahead and put a one in the room. It's that same thing. And what we do not understand in that space is we're not hurting them. We think we are. But they're living their own life. They're moving on and they're having experiences beyond you while you're still tormented, while you're still disappointed, while you're still grieving. And again, grieving is a natural part of the process. I'm not taking that away from you. However, I am here tonight to give you back your power. That's all. I want you to take back your power. To no longer be driven by, aided by, or fueled by hate, fear, or any other dis-ease. Because that dis-ease will very quickly become a disease. Very quickly. It becomes cancerous. You're carrying that into your body. Women carry it more often than not into their womb and they start having reproductive issues. Men carry it into their abdomen and you start to see their abdomen expand and you can't even really explain it. They're not eating more food. It's not because of lack of exercise, but it's and then in their chest. So frequently we're afraid to release it because we've become so codependent on the pain. And many times we're waiting for a confession to release our attachment to the pain. And I'm here to tell you, if you continue to wait on something outside of yourself to change or to shift in order for you to feel better, you're doing yourself a great disservice because now you've given that pain away. I often say to people, He or she who angers you controls you. I'm going to say that again. He or she who angers you controls you. Why do you say that? You say, Samuel, why do you say that? Because all they have to do is say one little thing and it just changes your whole dynamic. It changes your whole experience. It changes you. Look back. Take a moment. Think about somebody that you despise or who you feel as they've caused you great harm or even simple hurt. Look back at it. How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel? Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Can we be honest with ourselves? How does it make you feel when you think about someone who has caused you harm? When you think about your loved one who is no longer with you, whether it is from violence, from disease, or something that just happened, a car accident or something out of nowhere, how does it make you feel? Does it change the entirety of who you are? Does it change the complexion of your day? Have you gone from this space of being joyful or happy or content to being sorrowful, from being peaceful to searching for peace? So we have to take back our power from these things. They're killing us, literally and figuratively. They're preventing us from being able to access the opportunities that we and the joy and the happiness and the peace that surpasses all understanding that we deserve. That is also awaiting for our arrival. It's sitting right here, but we're right here. And between these 2 points is everything that needs to be forgiven so that we can come together, so we can merge. Ambrose Blessing says, trauma gets trapped in the body. It does. It absolutely does. I've personally experienced it. I've witnessed it in others. It does. So if you don't want that trauma, if you don't want to be trauma to be trapped into your body, you have to release it. No one else can do that. Let's be 100. Can we be 100? Well, as they say in the streets, 100. Let's be honest with ourselves. If I angered you, if I wronged you, and I come to you right now and I apologize with the greatest level of sincerity, is that really going to help you move on? In that immediate moment, are you going to say, okay, I forgive you? And truly, with the fervence of your full body, your full mind, is that going to change your whole life? If someone who broke your heart comes to you today and said to you, I understand what I did, and I apologize to you because you didn't deserve that. You didn't deserve that. Are you going to say, well, thank you for acknowledging me and let it go immediately? Or is it going to be a process that you have to overcome in order for you to be able to make that shift? Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be honest. Let's be transparent. Let's be accountable. It's important. And so, ah, look at here. Long time. My brother, Bill Thomas, out in the space in which you exist, unceasing blessings. Thank you, Master William. I appreciate you, my brother. Long time, long time. Great brother. We have the opportunity to change how we see the world. We have the opportunity to truly be the change we desire to see. It's our moment. Why put off to later what you can do today? Why? I watch my children who've been in therapy for a couple of years walk this space of forgiveness. And I was determined to take my responsibility in that space. Not one moment did I feel like that things would automatically correct themselves in that moment. I understood that there was going to be patience on my part, on my behalf, in order to assist them and support them to one, seeing me differently than they saw me before, loving me in a more authentic way without the conditions. And it was going to be the same for me. Let's think about it, parents. Our children, we say we love them unconditionally, right? I love them. My cousin has this saying. You may have heard him because I'm sure you've heard of him. He said, "I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it." Now, the interesting thing about that is this: I can love you unconditionally, which means I allow, accept, and embrace you to be exactly who you are in that moment. And when you adjust, I adjust with you. But I don't have to like you. And I really don't even have to forgive you in that space. I love you though, because that is my way of being. Love is my way of being. It's not just my action, but it's my way of being. It's the commandment that has been casted upon my life. So I love you. However, don't mean I have to forgive you or forget. And there's a difference in forgiveness and forgetting. You can take accountability, you can take stock and say, you know what, watch that. I saw you how you moved over there. Doesn't mean I have to let you close back to me again, back in my close proximity, in my circumference. But I love you. Yet I love you. And I allow you, accept you, embrace you to be exactly who you are. As a child, I had to come through that space with my parents and to learn how to forgive them and to honor them for being who they were in those moments. Many of us have childhood trauma. Most of the decisions that we're making right now are based upon trauma that started as early as in our youth. And what we don't realize is the decisions that we're making are based upon the moment of that trauma. We're making decisions based upon the age that that trauma occurred. Why? Because we haven't forgiven. And we allow that trauma to control us, to influence us. Where then it matriculates into fear. Fear, which is also known as false evidence appearing real. Again, that's false evidence appearing real. So now our decision making is based upon fear. It's false evidence appearing real. Simply because at the age of 12, 13, something happened to us that we're still holding on to. And it's driving and influencing our decisions today. We went to a space of abandonment. So now we're closed off, we're guarded. So that doesn't allow us to be able to have the wonderful relationships that we truly desire because we're afraid of someone abandoning us again. We have to forgive. We have to forgive. Because that mindset that you were at that age point, you do not have a full understanding of what happened in that moment. You would see it much differently if you allow yourself to see it in your adult mind versus your young mind. Your life experiences will allow you to give it a different perspective. I often say when you get a new perception, when you get a new perspective, you gain a new perception. And you can reverse that. When you get a new perception, you gain a new perspective. You have a different understanding, a way of moving throughout the world, throughout your journey than any before. I like to actualize the law of detachment. It means I'm not attached to your feelings. I'm not attached to your emotions. I'm not attached to your, I'm not even attached to your presence. I appreciate, that sounds harsh, don't it? Like, man, you're rough. Like, how does your wife, how does your kids, how do they even engage with you? You sound like you're void of emotions. You're void of connection. I'm not. What that simply means is I appreciate you, honor you, and embrace all of who you are while you're there. But in the event that you decide to leave or to change, I'm okay with it. I don't hold you to a standard or an expectation of you being anything other than you've agreed to be. Why? Because many of the expectations that we have are our own doing. We have these unreasonable, unagreed upon expectations of other people, and we didn't even get their co-signature. They didn't sign on for this. They didn't say, okay, this is who you can hold me accountable to be. You drew this own understanding on your own accord and holding them to it like a hostage. I made a statement earlier, and my cousin reached out to me, said, "Hey man, we're gonna have to expound on this." I mean, and we will on Sunday. On Sundays, Transform My Life broadcast at 11 a.m. here on these same streams. However you entered it here, we're gonna talk about this statement. And the statement was, "You are unable to give, you're unable to receive anything that you're unwilling to give." I'm gonna say that again. You are unable to receive anything you are unwilling to give. So, how does it relate to what I just stated? How does that coincide to my last statement? If you're unwilling to give freedom, how do you expect freedom? I mean, true freedom, not just the ability to move around and do some things. If you're unwilling to give unconditional love, how do you expect to receive unconditional love? Even if the other person is operating in that space, you won't be able to receive it because your ego prevents you from doing so. My ego? Yeah, your ego edging God out. Your ego. So we have to show up differently. We have to allow people to be who they are, show up in the way that they're supposed to show up. I'm a true believer that everything works together for my best and highest good. Everything. There's a scripture that says, "If God is for you, who can be against you?" Guess what? I don't subscribe to that. Why, you may ask? Because if has too much iffiness to it. If has too much doubt to it. If says it has a lot of hope to it, right? I hope you show up for me, God. I hope that you're the most powerful. You're the most have the greatest presence. Hope that you don't leave me or abandon me. So I changed the word if. I've removed the word if and put and installed the word as God is for me, who and what could be against me. I even go as far into another passage that says that let no weapon formed against me will ever prosper. I add on to that as well. I said, even the things that I contribute, the weapons that I manufacture. Because I manufacture a lot of weapons. We manufacture a lot of weapons in a space of non-forgiveness. So we have to be accountable. We have the power to change. And again, I'm gonna drop the link in here as I acknowledge some of these uh, uh, these comments in the chat here. I'm gonna drop the link in here again so you can come on in and let's engage. And you don't have to be on video. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about something maybe that you have experienced that perhaps you need some help, some assistance, some support with transitioning, with forgiveness in. One of my gifts is offering a unique perspective that allow you to see things a little differently than you may have seen before. All right, Amaro's blessings. Amaro's blessings comes in and says, why do you feel that people have a hard time forgiving each other and themselves? Well, the main reason I feel that is the case is because they don't have permission. They don't know that it's possible, and they don't understand the ramifications of not forgiving. They don't understand it. Remember earlier I said we have to want for ourselves the things that we have to want for others what we desire for ourselves. This statement clarifies that even more. Some of us have a hard time forgiving each other because we're so full of remorse. We're so full of guilt. We can't forgive ourselves. How many times have you looked in the mirror and hoped to see yourself differently than you are? You hope to see yourself slimmer. You hope to see your hair longer. You hope to see the rolls, the fat to disappear. We go and we get surgery to get some embellishments. Why? Because of self-acceptance. We do not accept ourselves and love ourselves fully, wholly. We have forgotten that we are whole, perfect, and complete. We are a reflection and extension of the Most High. So if that's the case, then where's the blemishes? That's our ego edging God out. So how can we forgive someone else when we can't even forgive ourselves for our mistakes? Like, we don't even understand that to fall down means the opportunity to get back up. To make a mistake gives us the opportunity to grow, to mature, to know differently, to be differently. But yet, because of our lack of understanding, we perish. Which brings me back to a conversation. All this leads up, and this Monday, I think it was Monday morning, we talked about this. Because of the lack of knowledge, my people perish. No, that was Sunday. You can go back and check that on the YouTube at Samuel Crumby Jr. YouTube, or also in the Facebook page, One Transformation Center. For the lack of knowledge, people perish. So that's why I'm having these conversations, because I don't want us to perish. I don't want us to operate in the space of lack any longer. I desire for us to be free, and free indeed, without any shackles. And when I say freedom, I'm not talking about freedom where you go from being enslaved to your thoughts, to your mind, to your philosophy, to ideologies, enslaved to being indentured. I'm not talking about that freedom. I'm talking about that unadulterated freedom when you get to move how you want to move, when you want to move, and be the best version of yourself without any afflictions or impairments. You deserve that. But it all begins with forgiveness of who first? Yourself. I remember in my coaching practices, a fellow coach and I, we used to talk all the time, and we would coach each other as well. And we did these exercises, the forgiveness exercise. And we would say to ourselves, I forgive myself for seeing myself as unworthy. I forgive myself for thinking of myself as undeserving. I forgive myself for telling myself that limitations were okay. I forgive myself for believing that I'm less than anyone else. I forgive myself for telling myself that it's okay for me to settle for mediocrity. I forgive myself for not believing enough in myself to move forth and be available to the opportunities that desire me as well. It starts there. And then you say to yourself, self, I love you. You are amazing. And I'm grateful for the journey that you've traveled thus far. We have so much further to go. And we will do so unencumbered by guilt, by shame. I'll be the first one to tell you there's been some great opportunities in my life that I've missed out on simply because of shame. If this is resonating with you, go ahead and hit the like button. Hit the like button if this is resonating with you. If you've ever missed out on an opportunity because of shame, share this link if that's been you. But I'm giving you permission to no longer live in that space, because the person who's going to judge you the harshest is no one but yourself. So will you forgive yourself so you can free yourself? In relationships, we think the other person is, we point the finger to the other person. You left me, you did this, you did that. But guess what? No one can do anything to us that we haven't given them permission to do. Why? Because we teach people how to treat us. If you see someone acting up and doing a certain thing that is a direct contrary to who you are and what you desire in your life, but yet you forgive them and you allow them to continue to be there and to continue to show up in that space, is you giving them permission. It's you telling them that that's okay. That's okay. I'm cool with you doing that. Keep doing it. But then yet you get mad at them for doing it. Why? You gave them permission. So are you really mad at them, or are you mad at yourself? If this is resonating with you, hit the like button. Share this stream. Share this stream. I hope I answered your question on most blessings. If anyone else want to add to that question, feel free to do so. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us, Sherry Ann. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else have a question or concern or something that they're working through that they would like to share before we get to some exercises on how we can move, how to be forgiven, how to move in the space of forgiveness? Some tips and techniques. Because I have 8 tips and techniques for when it feels too good, too hard to forgive. If there's nothing, we'll go into the first one of those. I think it's amazing. The first one says, sympathy for the transgressor. We have to learn how to have empathy for people. You know, the master teacher Jesus said, as they were placing him on the cross, he says, forgive them, for they know not what they do. What if you took that line and applied it to your life. The next time you are overlooked for a promotion, what if you say, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do"? The next time a relationship, someone decided to do something, operate differently in a relationship, or criticize you in a relationship, what if you just decided to say, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do"? When someone de- decides that they want to attempt to victimize you, understanding the very essence of who you are, you are a reflection and extension of the Most High, of the Master Creator. What if you say, "I forgive them, for they know not what they do"? They don't know who they messing with. They don't know who they're encountering. They just see someone that they could potentially victimize. What if you said, "Forgive them, for they not know not what they do"? What would that do for you? Now, granted, to have empathy and sympathy for someone who, like, remember I told you earlier about the young lady who someone tried attempted to rob her home today. There's been situations where people have victimized you in a physical way, invaded your personal space, physically, emotionally, mentally. I hear this word, this N word being put out there so frequently, narcissism. Man, why? Why are people moving into that space? Why do people think that they need to hurt another person in order for them to feel better? Why do they need to transfer that hurt? Why? Is because they haven't forgiven themselves. They haven't forgiven that situation. They haven't forgiven themselves for even allowing that to happen to themselves. And so they go and perpetuate unto another. It's transference. So let's stop that process and forgive. I've said something before, and I've had a number of friends who've gone through some assaults throughout my life. Even as a teenager, seemed like I attracted those type of people. And I just had so much compassion for them and empathy for them. Coached a number of them. And one of the things I share with them is this. And this is something that was given to me approximately about 15 years ago. And it was said, the things that you have done, the things that you have gone through, they weren't really about you. It wasn't really for you. It happened to you, for you, so that you, in all of your grandness, can help others who don't know how to come through it. Think about that. What if you could be the blessing that someone needs? What if you could be someone's personal Harriet Tubman that brings them through this enslavement that has capsulated their life, that has prevented them from being happy, whole, and complete? What if you are the very messenger, are the vehicle that frees them from that? Mm, something to think about, isn't it? Something to ponder upon, isn't it? We got about 8 more minutes till I end the stream, unless we have some people come on who want to share or questions that come in. But have approximately 8 more minutes left in here. But we're going to move on to number 2: benefit finding method. I just shared it, didn't I? I just shared it. What if you what if it happened to you, for you, so that you could be able to assist others with coming through it? They've been stuck in it for so long, but then it happens, you experience it, and like, man, and you have the very essence, the thing that's necessary, the relatability that helps others to release their slavery, to become emancipated. What if? Think about it. All these organizations that have been created simply because something happened and they have been able to support other people. You have hospitals because their children have gone through some cancers and medical diseases that they have been created. Foundations have been created to be supportive to found researchers. You have children who have disappeared and they have gone out and created organizations that help find these children and find those who have victimized these children. You have MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, who has, because there was a formulation of mothers who've gone through this stuff, who are able to support each other in the midst of this space, and who can go out there and help to create some laws and create some understanding to help people see the situation differently, to be more empathetic, and to think about the retributions of drinking and driving. What if? Number 3, self-soothing. Self-soothing. What if, to deal with the transgression, one tries to change what one can possibly change after transgressions have occurred? Because unfortunately, you can't undo the transgression, right? Can't undo it. You can perceive it as hurt or even an offense and respond to it with anger or fear, but you can't change it. You can't undo it, unfortunately. Yet you can control some of the anger and the fear. You can lessen the consequences. And you can provide a space for forgiveness. I'll give you an example. My godmother lost her youngest son. He was shot. He was murdered at his job. Didn't know the person. They just shot him down. They came into his store, chased him out of it, pulled a gun on him, chased him out of the store, shot him. Didn't even know him. He's in his 20s at the time. My godmother, who is a minister, she's a pastor of her own church, attended the trial, was very much a part of all the process. Now, keep in mind, this woman is saying she's not a woman who, her background is not a peaceful background. She knows the streets very well, grew up in Newark, New Jersey, saw her father, who was a significant drug dealer, killed in front of her. She lived that life. She knew about vengeance very easily. Like, very loving, embracing woman, but man, when she told us as kids, like, you play with me if you want to, ain't gonna get no belt. Put my hands on you. And she had big old hands too now. And so she sat in this trial for her baby boy. And if you want to chat, come on to the stream. She sat in this trial for her baby boy and offered this man forgiveness. Not for him, for herself. For herself. She offered him forgiveness. You can do that. You can do that. You also can lessen the injustice gap, which means to reduce the perceived injustice gap and unforgiveness. People often attempt to cope through problem solving or regulating emotions by self-soothing, avoiding the thoughts, replacing all negative with positive emotions, and finding meaning. Looking to find meaning. And we can change the magnitude of the injustice gap. We can change that. You say you're here. I don't see you in this. I don't see you in the studio. We can change that with two strategies. One, the victim can introduce more justice by changing how one perceives things, how things currently are. You may be the change the world needs. You may be the change the world needs. I'm sorry, guys. I've been putting the wrong link in the stream. There you go. Putting the wrong link in the stream. There you go. There you go. It's the right link. You could be the change the world needs. Okay? You can become the psychology that brings respite to those who've gone through it. Fifth one is short circuit rumination. You can short circuit it by simply when it rises up, when you feel and figure it, you can address it in a moment and say, you know what? I will not be controlled by this emotion. I will not be controlled by this fear. I will not be controlled by this anger. I will not be controlled by this. This is not my identity. This is not my anger. This is not my fear. This is not my frustration. It is he or she who created it, and I allow them to have it as I move forward and begin to experience what it is that I desire to experience in my life. Number 6 is emotional replacement. Emotional replacement. Replacing the negative, unforgiving emotions gradually, key word is gradually, with positive, other positive oriented emotions. Now, granted, I'm not saying go out there and replace one habit with another habit. I'm not saying go out there and get you a drink or smoke some in order for you to change how that feels. I'm not saying that. Something positive. Yeah, I can hear the feedback now. I hear it already. Well, marijuana is not negative. It's positive. It's good for you. It's herbal. Okay, that's fine. But at the same time, how is that helping you to create something constant and consistent? Something that you don't have to constantly fuel. It's got to be constant. Okay? Constant is the key word. Gradually, with positive, other oriented emotions, it's facilitated by experiencing other self forgetful positive emotions. In therapy, the therapist will facilitate emotional replacement by helping the client give an altruistically motivated gift for forgiveness. Some exercise, some exercises. We could talk about those too if someone would like to. All right. We're gonna do six. We're gonna do the next three as soon as we take this call. Here we go. Shaman Tamika, you're on the line,
Hello, can you hear me?
loud and clear.
Okay, awesome. So, first, I just want to get on to say that I applaud you for doing this work. This work is so needed right now in our in our in our communities and abroad and global. So
Thank
I
you.
want to just say thank you for this platform, but I also want to say, as a friend and knowing you for years, I did not know anything about making decisions with the trauma age, even though I'm in my 40s,
Hmm.
until you brought that session with me and helping me work through my inner child.
Childhood. Uh, what's that? It's called childhood.
It's called childhood regression work,
There you go.
right? And so, and I realized at that moment when I was sitting there crying over a picture of me when I was 10 and 12 and 13 and what happened to me in those times. It was very traumatic for me. And when you helped me walk through that, it felt easier to release that and to forgive myself. And when I hear about forgiving others, in community growing up, it was a way of showing guilt. Like you're saying, forgive me as if you're being guilty
Right.
of something that you did,
Right.
even if you did it or not. Um, but the forgiveness of yourself, and for a person to say, why do I need to forgive myself? They did that to me, and this, and that, and the third.
Right.
But forgiving yourself, I realized with those sessions with you, is saying, forgiving myself is freedom.
Hmm.
It is freeing the inner child in me to say, guess what? I'm proud of you and where you are, and I'm free to go on, and that you don't have to hold on to that anymore.
Right. And I'm no longer that person.
Correct.
You're no longer that person. You're no longer that child. You're no longer in that space. You're
Right.
no longer have that. You no longer are able to be victimized in that way. And
Correct.
you don't have to vilify anybody else either.
Right. And also and when you respond to those things now, you respond to them more in a victorious space than
Yes.
being in a victim space. And I realize when you go more into a victim space, there's still some more healing work to do there.
Which is great. I'm
Hmm.
glad you. I'm glad you said that. Give me, mom. I'm gonna pause you because I hear some static. Do you still have a stream open or somewhere?
I do. Hold on a second.
Because maybe that's what the static is.
Okay.
If you can just mute it or pause it.
I did.
Okay. Yeah, much better. Much better. What I've realized is we, even in that transference, we transfer that guilt into the villain,
Hmm.
and we continue to vilify them, thinking
Correct.
that it's going to help us to feel better. It doesn't. It doesn't. It keeps you connected with that experience even more than before.
Hmm.
And let me go ahead and mute you because I hear static. I don't know what's going on. And so it's important for us to be able to release that so that we can move forward. And not only that, but at the same time, I remember in the sessions, the reframing of that situation. And now, granted, you've made a very important point. Many of us find ourselves saying, why do I need to forgive them? I didn't do anything. They did it to me. The forgiveness is not about the act, but the forgiveness is about how you've allowed the act and the experience to affect you in your life and how you have now carried that forward. And even though that experience is previous and that person is far gone and they're having different experiences, you'll find yourself getting mad at them because they're having a sense of happiness, right? Or you find yourself getting mad at them because they're able to live and your loved one doesn't live any longer. So you're still holding yourself hostage. So the forgiveness is saying, you know what, I forgive myself for needing to have that crutch to live. I forgive myself for needing to have that crutch to breathe. I forgive myself for needing to have that frustration to move on with. And so it's essential, it's important for us to let go. I'm bringing you back on, Shaman Tamikas. You're back in. You have anything else to add to that? Shaman Tamikas, you there? Thank you, Cassandra. Oh, I guess we lost her. Guess we lost her. Feel free to tap back in, Shaman Tamikas. Feel free to tap back in. All right. So number 6 or 7, 8, 9. That's what we said. Some therapy. Some therapy. Go get therapy. Therapy is very essential in your forgiveness. Don't think that you can do everything on your own. We, I don't know why we get to that space of thinking that we can do everything on our own. We don't have to. Get you some therapy. Someone that you can talk to outside of your family who's not connected to you that can help you to see things differently that can give you the opportunity to vent, to cry upon, to lean on, to get a different understanding. Because one of the things that does happen is we do hold ourselves hostage. We do say to us, it's my fault. If I didn't do this, this would not have happened. It's my fault. And we need to be reminded that it is not, there's no fault that needs to be blamed. It's not about fault. Yes, this occurred. What can I learn from it? What can I gain from it so that I can move forward, be more and be better empowered? That's the key. How can I be better empowered? How can this work in my best interest? Because right now it's not. So how can it work in my best interest? So that's important. Therapy will help you with that. Many types of therapy. Not just sit in front of someone. You may want to subscribe to some Asiatic therapies, or some some Eastern therapies, some metaphysical or quote unquote New Age therapies that can help you to move beyond that, help you channel that. Okay. Empty chair technique. Oh, I love this. The empty chair technique allows you to sit across from your defender. So, say for instance, you're not ready to sit in the room with the person and share with how it made you feel. Get it off your chest. You can get an empty chair and sit across of it, and imagine the other party or party sitting in that chair, and you run down how you feel so that you can feel heard, because that's important, right? Sometimes we feel like we're not heard, especially in an argument or a debate. You feel like you're not heard and you're trying to be heard, or you don't want to hear someone's justification. Empty chair technique helps tremendously with that. Tremendously. Okay. Last one, emotional replacement. Emotional replacement. Replacing negative, unforgiving emotionally. Well, we talked about that one already. Yeah, talked about that already. So those are the 8 steps, 8 tips and techniques for when it feels too hard to forgive. All right. Looks like we have Shaman Tamika's back in. Let me bring her back in and see what else she likes to add to the conversation. All right, Shaman Tamika.
Okay, sorry about that. Some kind of way.
It's
I was,
taken. You're fine.
yeah, I was switching. Okay. um, I did hear your response, and it was a great response. To add to that, I just want to finish out and saying that the first step to healing is forgiving of self. And when you forgive yourself, it also gives you a sense of getting your power back as well. And it's also good to have healthy conversations about how you feel, just as you said about sitting across from an empty chair, or better yet, write a letter to the person. I've done that. Write a letter to the person, because writing it down and even the thoughts and thinking, you can connect with them on a metaphysical space as well, and they will be heard. It will be heard. That's a good way of clearing that too. So I just want to say thank you for that. And I
My
constantly
pleasure.
put that in my own practice as well on a daily too. That the person, like your parents, they raised you the best they knew how.
Best they do.
And yes, they do. And we do not come with instructions with parenting. We just only know what we know. I do believe that it does takes a village to come together and acknowledge those things, so we all can continue to have healthy and thriving relationships, not just with our parents or our loved ones, but more with ourselves. And that starts with forgiveness. So I appreciate you this evening and their conversation. And it was very healing and helpful.
Well, I appreciate your contribution. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, fantastic. I hope you guys have enjoyed this as much as I have. I hope it has brought you a sense of perspective. And yes, another way to gain some perspective is writing a letter. Sit down and write a letter and talk about all your trauma and all of the pain in space of forgiveness. And then after you finish, I want you to read it. Then I want you to ingest everything that you just said and then turn around and write another letter and reframe the narrative from a victorious space. Case in point, I had some experiences that happened as a child. My parents truly believed that you spare the rod, you spoil the child. And I didn't necessarily need all that. I needed some sparing because I didn't get spared at all. I wish I did. I wish I just had a little bit of sparing. Not because, to get away with anything, but simply because there's some things that happened. It was really operating from a space of trauma on both sides, and it took me a lot to realize, to reframe that. And then I went into the military, and I had a drill. Well, I was in the Navy, so we had drill sergeants, but I had a company commander, two of them, and military believes in breaking you down and rebuilding you up. Well, they didn't realize there was no breaking that they could do to me because I've already been broken. And at the end of it, they said something to me at graduation. They said, we attempt to break everyone so we can build them back up, but you by far were one of the most strongest recruits that we've ever experienced. Why is that? Because I realized there was nothing you can do to me that hadn't already been done. Nothing you could do to me that hadn't already been done. You could not hurt me more than I had already been hurt. And that gave me a sense of freedom. That gave me a real, true sense of freedom. And so, yes, Cassandra, yes. Forgive myself, whether that person apologized or not. Forgive yourself so that you can move on. You can't move on until you forgive. Let's be honest. Just because the person is no longer in your presence doesn't mean that you moved on. You're still connected to them. I know an experience firsthand where this relationship is over. It was over before the divorce, 6 years before the divorce papers, before the divorce was finalized. They had separated, they had moved on. Can you believe that the person still, approximately 10 years later, still has not moved on? Has married another person, married another man, has another child, but still hasn't moved on. Is still ingratiated with her hurt, her pain, her disappointment, to the point that she wants to hurt him any way she can instead of freeing herself up. I've seen that on so many occasions. And they wonder why they struggle. They wonder why they can't be happy. It's simply because they have not forgiven themselves. They may not have taken personal responsibility for their contributions. And forgiving themselves Even to the point that it's been stated to me that they still would try to re-engage and reconnect with that person after creating a whole new experience. Forgiveness, the lack of forgiveness is awful. It would cause you to self-sabotage something. We have to do better. I've seen the lack of forgiveness cause a man to kill a woman simply because he didn't want her to be with someone else. Self sabotage is real. We have to let go. We have to move on. We have to avail ourselves to better experiences, more transformative, more transformative experiences. Experiences that allow us to have to move on, to embrace what we do want versus what we don't want. See, I'm sure we've all heard of this phrase called the law of attachment. No, I'm sorry, the law of attraction. They've had movies about it, written books about it. People have really made it a significant concentration in their lives. Here's the thing. Welcome, Miranda. Here's the thing we have to understand. You cannot move forward. You cannot have freedom until you give it to someone else. But guess what? Even when you do that, you still can't have it. You know why? Because you haven't given it to yourself. You haven't given it to yourself. I'm going to go back to my wonderful phrasing. The wonderful phrase that says, that they keep continuing to say is being misquoted, but I'm going to say it anyways, and I'm going to give Harriet Tubman credit for it. She said, I would have freed more if they knew that they were slaves. I'm going to give you one more example. Personal. My mother, rest in power, mom. Mother of 10 children. Single mother for the majority of her life. I'm the eldest. 8 girls, 2 boys. All those by one man, my father. She believed in being a wife. She believed in that title. It was her way of being. She was married at the age of 17, had me at 18. She and my father went through a lot. I'm not going to get in detail, but it was a lot. Stuff that would make these women today very judgmental. And she wanted to buy a house. And we had a house before. When I was approximately 3, 4 years old, the house was built. Um, we moved into this house. We lived there until I was 13. So we lived there for about 10 years. My father and mother were divorced, and we lost the house. So my mother was a renter for many, 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 many years, raised her kids up in other houses that she didn't own. And she wanted to buy her own house. She had remarried. Now, let me show you what the lack of forgiveness will do. She married someone, good dude, but who was directly opposite of everything that she desired. Mom was a non smoker, non drinker, did not curse. Well, my stepfather was a drinker, smoker, and he cursed. And so, but because she did not forgive my father and herself, she compromised on what she felt she was deserving in order for her not to be alone and to receive some assistance with raising her children. Well, she transitioned from here feeling like she wasn't loved, feeling like she wasn't appreciated. I watched my mother decline because the man that she loved and that she was married to wouldn't even speak to her, wouldn't even acknowledge her presence, even though she was sick, would lay next to her and would act as though she wasn't even there, would tell her that she was faking. However, digress. My mother, we were in this three-bedroom house and there was 10 children in there. She raised us in that house, didn't allow us to know anything about poverty, even though we were living in the middle class neighborhood, but we weren't middle class though. But she never let us believe that we weren't middle class. She never let us, she used to tell me all the time, what you doing over here? 'Cause I used to be in the hood, in the projects. What you doing over here? It's not how I raised you. I used to tell her, Mama, well, I got to go these places, man. I got to, how can I help people if I don't know what they go through, if I don't know what their experiences are, which helped me to become who I am today. And she wanted her own house. She did all the work to get a house. She even, she was hurt on her job. She got her debt taken care of, credit figured out. Mom was a faithful woman. And she says, I want a house. And God promised me a house. I'm going to get a house. And it just so happened my sister and I both obtained our real estate license. And we were content. It was our mission on getting my mother a house. And we found her a house. And before we could find that house, my stepfather said, rest in peace. He said, we don't have 2 quarters to rub together. How are we going to get a house? But you don't look at houses. We don't have 2 quarters to rub together. And my mother said, because God is faithful. God promised me a house. And so we went looking. We took my mother out there to look for a house. And so he saw her commitment to it. And he got on board. He said, wait a minute, she's serious about this thing. So he started coming with her and she found a house. But the house that she got, the house that she received, he chose it because he didn't think it was possible to get a house. So when the opportunity came to get one, he just chose the first thing, thinking that I better jump on this before I better ask for too much because I didn't think it was possible in the first place. Well, Mom wanted it. She wanted a separate living room, separate dining room, and a family room. She didn't get her separate living room, dining room. She didn't get it. And she regretted it. She always lived with that. Like, I didn't get what I really wanted. And so she lived with that without moving in the space of forgiveness. But I say that because it took her doing some forgiveness and some letting go and letting what I call letting go and letting God in order for her to get that house. What do I mean by that? I had a conversation with her, and my father owed a significant amount of child support, and she used to say, if he just give me my money, I can get my house. And I told her, I said, Mom, who is your source? This is gonna be this is for someone out there listening right now. Who is your source, Mom? Is Pop your source? She said, No. Who is your source? She says, God is my source. He's provided for me. He's provided for us without fail. He is my source. I said, okay, Mom. Then let God be the source. Let go of that child support. Let go of the idea of needing to have that in order to move here. Matter of fact, just let it go. Don't even push it. Don't even fight for it. Just let it go and understand that you're provided for, and that God will bless you abundant. Keep His promise to bless you above and beyond what you could even conceive or imagine. Let's stay in that space, Mom. And so she did so, and she was blessed with her house, even though she was blessed with a house, even though she was on disability. She was blessed with a house. Some of you out there are due for a blessing, but you're blocking your blessing. Why? Because you haven't forgiven yourself or others who you feel that have wronged you, have spited you. You have to forgive. You have to let go and remember what your source is. Because I'm here to tell you some remarkable things have been worked through me to help others to be able to get into spaces that they couldn't have seen themselves in. Will you allow yourself to be able to move in rooms that you normally don't have access to? The only way you can do that is through forgiveness. That's it. Only way you can move into those rooms is through forgiveness. Without forgiveness, you won't have any access. You'll have the key, but you won't have access. If that resonates with you, go ahead and like and share. Go to the YouTube page, Samuel Crumby Jr., and subscribe. Because we're here every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, having this transformative conversation, as well as Monday through daily at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, having the morning manifestation calls, which somebody in this room is on the morning manifestation calls. Comment and let them know what you think about those calls. Because I had a running joke this morning. I said, man, I should go in and do a TikTok and said, man, if you missed the call today, you missed me crying. You want to see me cry? Go check out the call. And you can see that on One Transformation Center's Facebook page. Go to One Transformation Center's Facebook page, and you can see you can get a retake of that call. All this stuff is recorded. You can go back live if you missed any of it. You can go back live. In addition to that, if it moves your heart to support the broadcast, go ahead, make a donation. You can go through Giveify, the app of Giveify, and put One Incredible Experience Transformation Center and make a contribution there, or you can cash at me at Samuel Crumby, Samuel Crumby Jr. Anything is appreciated. It's all going back into this process so that we can continue to bless you and others, free you and others, empower, inspire, motivate, and heal you and others. It's important. It's important. So we can keep having conversations like this one. All right? So yeah, Mom got a brand new house. Nobody ever lived in it. Beautiful lot, half an acre, well, not half an acre, quarter of an acre, large lot. We had a fenced backyard. We had all these wonderful events in the backyard with my siblings, family members. It was amazing. But she only lived a short life, too. My only hope is that she forgave. I spent a lot of time with her. I believe she did, but I mean thoroughly forgave. Thoroughly. So, any other questions, comments, concerns? Anybody else want to come into the stream? I'll drop it on the stream real quick. If not, we'll bid you adieu and hope to see you in the morning for the morning manifestation call. You can tap in and tune into any of the streams. You'll see that already there and waiting for you to comment. 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Forgiveness is essential. It is your freedom. It is your freedom. Don't allow yourself to be enslaved by grief, by fear, by hate, by discord. Don't allow yourself to be riddled with pain any longer. Free yourself, free your mind. As Invoke said, free your mind and the rest will follow. It's true. True indeed. Some of you are bringing life into this world that's constructed with, bringing life into this world that's constructed with trauma. You're having babies, and those babies are swimming in your trauma, swimming in your lack of forgiveness. And then you wonder why they come out acting a certain way. You didn't have peace while you were carrying them. Why should they be peaceful? Catch that if you can. Thank you for being in the morning sessions. I'm Rose Blessings. They're only about 30 minutes long, y'all, so it doesn't take much of your day, but it's super. It really it sets the course for your day, though. It definitely sets the course for your day. Okay. All right, good people. Thank you all for subscribing. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for liking and sharing. Again, if you missed any part of this, feel free to go back and check out the live. Feel free to go back and check out the live. It will, well, it won't be live anymore, but go back and check it out, and it'll give you the opportunity to be able to see it. And here are all of the social media platforms you can subscribe to. Please like, share, and subscribe, and comment. Facebook at One Transformation Center, IG Samuel Crumbie Jr., also at One Transformation Center, YouTube at Samuel Crumbie Jr., and also at One Transformation Center. That one's being set up to, there's no lives, it's brand new. We're going to be live streaming over there for our Thursdays and our Sundays and our Wednesdays, and we'll be putting all this information, updating it, loading onto the broadcast, so that you'll have plenty of content to review and to share, to help you through your day, help you to break through, get free, to live your best life now. So I appreciate you tremendously. Hope to see you in the morning. Again, the way our schedule works, coming up tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the morning manifestation call. Hope to have you join us. You'll see it. If you go to on Facebook, Transform. Well, you can do it there too, Transform My Life, or you can also, that group, or you can also go to One Transformation Center. You can tune in live at 7 a.m. there. or if you have the stream, I'm not sure if you can come on through the stream. And I'm looking to put together a group as well so that we can speak to you directly, engage directly. So I'm looking to do that as well. So, um, and so tomorrow was Thursday, Friday, Saturday we have that. Sunday morning we'll have that. Then Sunday we'll have the Transform My Life broadcast, which will be focused. We're setting it up earlier. That's going to be. You want to tap into that? It's going to be Freedom Sunday. That's what we call that. Freedom Sunday. Freedom Sunday. Got to tune in. Got to tune in for that. Freedom Sunday and bring some people with you. All right. Um, so we love you. We thank you. We'll see you again next Wednesday, if not before. Be great. Remain blessed. And I love you. Simply because, as my cousins say, and there's nothing, absolutely nothing you can do about it. Peace and blessings.